Happy New Comic Book Day. I'm Mark.
I'm Josh.
And we are here to talk about this week's best comics. Hopefully you can join us for this live discussion of the things that we liked most this week. You probably saw me do that. Saying close the door. Cool stuff to check out. Lots of stuff from Marvel and DC. It's a really solid week. Not necessarily a ton of titles, but the stuff that came out was all top-notch. My pick this week is XMen Read #1 by Tom Taylor and that guy, I want to say like Mahmoud Asrar. And I would be correct, Mahmoud Asrar. So, if you've been following the events in Marvel Comics, specifically Phoenix Resurrection or the Jean Grey series, the original Jean Grey, the OG Jean Grey, is back.
The Olive Garden Jean Grey?
Yes. You used to work with her, didn't you?
I believe so, yes.
Yes. Jean Grey is back, and she has a lot of lost time to make up for, and she's kind of taken it on herself to establish a mutant nation, not like Genosha, not like Utopia, but basically to have mutants recognized by the United Nations, not necessarily in a central location, but there is in the cloud, maybe, is where the mutant nation is. And she's assembled some of her friends and some new folks to be her teammates in this mission, including Nightcrawler and Namor, of all people, as well as Laura Kinney. Is it Laura Kinney? Yes, it is. And Honey Badger, and that's always fun. Those characters are also written monthly or bi-weekly by Tom Taylor. And she's out to save mutants and kind of act like Professor X and like Scott Summers did at one point, and kind of like Wolverine did at one point, and act as a leader for mutants. And there are a lot of great moments in this comic. I really enjoyed the story that Taylor told, and it ends on a cliffhanger and the return of a face that is familiar to those of you that enjoy Grant Morrison's run on X-Men. So XMen Read, it gets a thumbs up for me.
And Joss Whedon's run?
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
We also find out why it's called X-Men Read, maybe.
It's because Jean Grey's a redhead. Maybe.
Everyone with the Phoenix is a redhead these
days. But this
days.
was really solid. The X-Men color books, we've got gold, blue, and red. Each has its own feel, its own flavor. And if you're an X-Men fan at all, you definitely want to check this one out, especially if you're a Jean Grey fan.
My pick of the week this week is Swamp Thing Winter Special 1. This is over from DC. This is an 80-page giant. And we've got a couple different names on the cover here. We've got...
I realized I never held up my comic.
Yeah. No, look at mine. Look at mine. Don't look at his. Look at mine. So we've got a story by Len Wein, who is, I think, deceased.
He is.
And that one's illustrated by Kelly Jones.
Hey, Josh, you're talking over here.
Sweet.
Okay.
And Kelly Jones, of course, worked on Swamp Thing and does a lot of horror. He has big, kind of heavy gothic art, so that works really well for the theming. But the real reason people showed up is the lead story by Tom King and Jason Fabok. King, of course, is known as writer of Vision and Mr. Miracle and the current Batman series and is 18 Kinds of Awesome. And the lead story in here is no exception. It is a self-contained Swamp Thing story about cost and loss and loneliness and humanity, like all Swamp Thing stories. Plus, he fights a bear. But it is epic and awesome and great. The backup story by Len Wein is good. It's interesting that they have this kind of tribute story written after or drawn and published after his death that has no actual dialogue in it. Like, on the page, there's no words. But then we also get a copy of the script, which is kind of a neat artifact if you want to know about, like, how comics are made. You see kind of the way... am I saying it right? Is it Wein?
Yeah.
Okay. The way Wein wrote the... You have no idea. You're just agreeing with me.
It's either Wein or Wine.
Talk to Kelly Jones about illustrating it and stuff, and the kind of the inside stuff he gives him is really neat if you like behind-the-scenes stuff. But, yeah, so anybody who's enjoying Mr. Miracle or Vision, you should totally check this out. And obviously, if you're a Swamp Thing fan... You're going to want to be there.
It was great. It was just fantastic. Fabok's artwork is outstanding. I love this guy. And it is important, and I'm glad Josh explained what was happening with the Len Wein story, because it really was promoted as Len Wein's last Swamp Thing story, and there's no dialogue. There's no word balloons. But you've got great artwork by Kelly Jones, and then you've got the script afterwards, so you can check it out. But it's absolutely a beautiful book and a good send-off for Len Wein. So thank you to Jess for joining us today, and Ed, and Will. Thanks for watching today. We appreciate you being here. My next pick is Superman number 40. This is written by temporary writer James Robinson. Peter Tomasi is now off of the book. Brian Michael Bendis will be coming onto the book after March, so James Robinson is writing a couple fill-in issues. Artwork by Doug Mahnke, who we've seen many times before in the world of Superman, and this is called The Last Days, Part 1. This is about Superman and Superboy trying to save a planet from a fate very similar to Krypton. And actually, it's a society that is very similar to Krypton as well. So there's a lot of emotion involved with these two characters and trying to do what they think is right, but it may not be seen as right by the populace of this planet. Robinson does a great job with this. The Mahnke, again, is it Mahnke? Is it Monk? I don't know.
I usually say Monk, but I don't actually know.
Doug does a nice job with
Fresh.
The artwork here, and it's just great to see this father and son team in action. I really enjoyed it. Did you read it?
I didn't actually.
What is wrong with you?
So John needs a different mask because he doesn't have super eyes yet. Because his has like goggles on it, but Clark's doesn't, and they're both Kryptonian space people. Young. I don't know, but
leave it to Josh.
Because he's got like a plastic suit. He's got like a suit too. So I guess he must not be as resistant to the vacuum of space.
But Superman was top notch this week. We're looking at a few issues from James Robinson before Bendis comes on board. Who's excited for Bendis? Give us a thumbs up if you're excited for Bendis.
I was disheartened. What was it? Oh, one of the ads this week for Bendis' last issue of Jessica Jones, but it wasn't referred to as the last issue of Jessica Jones. It was referred to as Bendis and Gados'.
I thought it said final issue.
It says Bendis and Gados' final issue.
Okay. Maybe it's.
I did not care for that.
I'll do some research.
I think that should not be a thing that happens anymore.
Research while you talk about what's
research.
Next.
All right, what's next for me is Young Monsters in Love. It is mid-February. That means Ash Wednesday is coming up real quick on us. And so we get a one-shot from DC. This is also oversized, and it features kind of every horror gothic character in the DC stable. We've got Etrigan the Demon, we've got Deadman, we've got on the cover there, we've got Frankenstein and Lady Frankenstein as Agents of Shade. We've got the not the Howling Commandos, what are they called? The Creature Commandos. There's a Swamp Thing story. There's a Mr. Mala.
Yeah, Monsieur Mala.
Monsieur Mala and the Brain story, which was really
artwork.
great. We get an I, Vampire story, and this is the New 52 era of I, Vampire, not the old school, like, super lame I, Vampire. But creative teams... Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. There's a Man-Bat story in here, also with art by Kelly Jones, words by Kyle Higgins. We get a Solomon Grundy story with Solomon Grundy and Superman and John, written by Marguerite Scott, with pencils by Brian Hitch. This is like there's a lot of good names in here. The Deadman story is Dini and Gilliam March's drawing.
Paul Dini.
Paul Dini, co-creator of Batman the Animated Series and one of the finest writers in the comics business. The Mala story is Steve Orlando and Nick Klein. The Demon story is Phil Hester and art by Mirko Kolak. The Swamp Thing... Oh, sorry, that's the creative stuff. The Creature Commando story is written by James Robinson, who we were just talking about on Superman, which are art by John McCrae. I, Vampire is Elisa Whitney and Stephanie Hans. The Swamp Thing story is Mark Russell and Fraser Irving. Fraser Irving sounds familiar. He did something I liked.
I'm sure he did.
There's a Raven. I really like the Raven story in here. The Dead Can Dance. It reminded me of the episode in season 2 of Buffy where the possession of the kids and the teacher were in love, and then they possess them. It was super awesome.
Who wrote that?
Joss Whedon.
No,
in here? It was Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with art by Javier Fernandez.
I believe that's the team behind Gotham City Garage, but I could be wrong.
I like that book, I believe that story. And
so many people.
The Frankenstein is Tim Seeley and Giuseppe Camuncoli
for Josh's review of the Frankenstein.
It's really amazing. It's a whole bunch of stories about a whole bunch of characters, and there wasn't a lot of times you get these anthologies. There wasn't any story in here I didn't like.
Slow down. Take it easy. You're getting all worked up. You're talking too fast.
I get excited about comics, Mark.
If I have to put captions on this thing, I don't even know what I'm going to do.
I don't know. Josh mumbles stuff. Just drop. Never mind. But it was really good. Fun, tongue-in-cheek, romantic stuff. Lots of horror characters. A lot of characters we don't get to see a lot.
Tongue-in-cheek, romantic stuff.
Yeah, that's where it goes. It's, I mean, Swamp Thing's French and somebody on the cover, but it's awesome. That's it.
Okay. Next up for me, sorry, this very loud person outside the window now. Or outside the office.
You know who you are, loud person.
If you're watching this later, Amanda just had to kick you out of the back part of the store. Finally, not finally, but next up for me, Infinity Countdown, Adam Warlock. This is a one-shot written by Jerry Dugan, artwork by Mike Allred, and I am a sucker for a good Kang the Conqueror story. And that's what this is.
Everybody's Kang the Conqueror. Look it up. It's awesome.
I'll think of some more lyrics.
No, that's an actual song. That's Ula the Mach.
Oh, that's right. Ula the Mach.
Yes, but look at these awesome Kang the Conqueror adventures with jazz hands. This is awesome.
Jazz hands, Kang in his jazz hands. So Mike Allred doing the art on this was an interesting choice, and that's one of the reasons that Josh and I had fun with this book. He showed it to me when he was doing the shipment yesterday, and as I was reading it last night, I just kept hearing Josh's voice in my head describing different pages from this story. So Adam Warlock returns in, I believe, Guardians of the Galaxy number 150, which came out a few weeks ago. This is the next logical place to go if you've been reading Guardians. And we get a history of Adam Warlock. We see why Kang has kind of pulled him out of the time stream, because he is essential to stopping the impending doom that's on its way thanks to the Infinity Stones and Thanos. It's just really good. When Kang is written well, it's just a lot of fun, because you have a time traveler who exists all throughout time in different incarnations. So we get to see a couple different versions of Kang in this one. And if you're looking for more Kang, might I suggest my favorite Avengers story of all time, Avengers Forever, written by Kurt Busiek. It is just the best around. No one's ever going to put it down. Yes. But this surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like this, but I walked away enjoying it very much. So if you're hesitant to pick up Infinity Countdown, Adam Warlock, do not hesitate. You should totally check it out. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to what comes next.
And then I've got a twofer of Batman awesome left for me this week. I've got Batman 40, written by Tom King, with beautiful art by Joel Jones. This is the second part of a story about Batman and Wonder Woman helping out a friend sort of lost in time and fighting an unending battle against hordes, as well as Catwoman getting to know this immortal warrior back in the real world, and we see what he does with his day off from the immortal war. It's brilliant and poignant and great. Tom King's Catwoman is the best version of Catwoman. Like the way he writes Selena, her dialogue is just perfect to my mind. And then also continuingly awesome, Batman White Knight by Sean Murphy and Matt Hollingsworth. Sean Murphy is telling a really, really great story in here. I don't know if I would categorize it as a Batman story. It's a really good Harley Quinn story. It's a moderately good Joker story, but it's really interesting. If you're a fan of the Bat universe, the Bat family, there's so much to like in here. So many characters, so many Easter eggs, so many things just turned slightly on their ear. And he's also giving character like Harley and Batgirl don't get enough love for all the books they show up in. They're a lot of times marginalized or comic relief or sidekicks, and in here they are empowered and awesome and way more logical and good than their male counterparts in the series. So just great, and the artwork is beautiful, like all of Murphy's stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this out in collected edition. I read the first couple issues and really liked it, and I'm at the point where my memory is fading as I grow older, and I read so many single issue comics that if I start something that I really like, especially if it's a miniseries, I'll wait and I'll pick up the trade at the end and get it all in one sitting.
Or more than halfway. So.
And anybody that follows me on Instagram, me, not the store, knows that I just finished Punk Rock Jesus, the deluxe version by Sean Murphy, and it was top-notch stuff. So looking forward to seeing the finished product of Batman White Knight, having it in my collections. This is issue 5. We got 3 more to go before it's done. Finally, for me, just a kind of a public service announcement that the Clue collected edition is available from IDW. This is written by some people, some guy. It's written by...
Paul Allor?
Paul Allure, yep, art by Nelson Daniel. And you may recall, if you're a fan of the show, that we've talked about the single issues before. Both Josh and I were pleasantly surprised by this series, how fun it was, how enjoyable it was to have a comic based on a classic board game. And go ahead.
As bad as that sounds.
Yeah,
like, just the idea.
Really, no one is more surprised than us that the Clue comic book is excellent. So you just want to put that out there on your radar if you're looking for something fun and different, or if you have a soft spot in your heart for the Clue movie that came out in the 80s, or the board game. This is totally cool. And who knows, they just announced recently, is it Ryan Reynolds that's looking at
That's my understanding.
Doing a Clue movie? And it would not surprise me if this was kind of the inspiration for that. So,
I see that.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Cruz for joining us as well. So Cruz, Jess, and Ed have chimed in, and Will. Will is here as well. We've got some other people who have not been named, possibly the person who shall not be named. I don't know. But thank you for tuning in. Now, Jess, you want us to add the Young Monsters in Love to your next shipment, so we will take care of that for you. And did Jess have the Clue trade on order? Do you know?
I don't know, but if she doesn't, we can give it to her.
If you don't have one, I see that you're excited about that, Jess, about the Clue trade. Yes, so add Clue. So Jess wants Clue and Young Monsters in Love. If anyone else wants us to throw something in their pull file, everybody else appears to be local. That has chimed in. Amanda is watching us now from about 30 feet away. So thank you, Amanda, for watching. And we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'm looking down here instead of up here. I'm sorry. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
Teleprompter.
We're still getting the hang of this Facebook Live thing, but it's fun. We enjoy the interaction and being able to share this stuff sooner on a Wednesday for those of you that are heading out to your local comic shop. And if that's us, we appreciate your business. So thank you.
And I wanted to say, you were talking earlier about how it was a small week, but a good week. And I think this is ideally the week I would like to have every month. I would like, you were always saying that publishers need to cut their output.
Yeah.
If they cut their output so less comes out, more weeks will be like this, where everything is good. This is the ideal week of comics for me. I don't get me wrong, I love weeks when there's a billion things to read, but at the same time, I would rather have 20 great titles than 40 mediocre titles. So
Yeah, I agree. And
in case Marvel was watching.
Who knows?
No,
maybe someone from Marvel or DC is watching, but a much more manageable number of books where they're all excellent, or the majority of them are excellent.
Yeah.
Will, that was funny. She was inside the house the whole time. Amanda was inside the house the whole time. And Ed, thank you for saying that you like the live version. We appreciate your support. So we will get back to work slinging comics out on the floor of the store. And if you're local, we hope to see you soon. If you're not, head out to your local comic shop, or you can always order with us. So we appreciate you hanging out with us today, and we'll see you again next week. I'm going to get up and turn off the camera now. Don't get nervous or afraid.
I'll sing another verse of everybody's Kang the Conqueror.
Do it.
Everybody's Kang the Conqueror. That's all.
That's the same verse you sang before.
That's not the verse. That's the intro part.
You got another one?
No.
Okay. See ya.